Good morning. It is Thursday, March 23rd, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Frank Granito, filling in for Kate Czaplinski, bringing you the day's top stories. Donald Ang will have a look back in history, and John Kovacs will join us shortly with our HAN front pages. But first, we start in Darien, where police said Wednesday they are confident that a rumored threat at Darien High School regarding school today, March 23rd, was unsubstantiated. Earlier, school superintendent Dan Brenner issued a press release that there had been a rumor that "do not come to school" on 323 had been written in an unspecified boys' bathroom. Lieutenant Jeremiah Marin of the Darien Police Department said he and other officers visited Darien High School and met with school administration and members of the Board of Ed following a rumor of a threatening message written somewhere at the school. Nothing was located. We discussed what the threat was, and it was proven to be unsubstantiated, Marin said. As always, school safety and the safety of the students and staff is paramount, he added. Marin said the alleged threat did not target any one person or group of people. As far as today, Marin said, as usual, Darien Police Department will have a presence on the school grounds. And according to NBC Connecticut, 13 Quinnipiac students studying abroad in London are all safe after Wednesday's terrorist attack that killed 5 people, including the assailant. Danbury native and Quinnipiac sophomore Cassie Mendez was quoted saying that she and her friends were safe in their dorm 20 minutes away from downtown London at the time of the attack, but they could hear the many sirens in the distance. Quinnipiac was able to quickly confirm the safety of all 13 of its students in London and contacted their families. Mendez went on to say she knew there was a risk of facing a threat like this traveling abroad, and it's a conversation that every student who goes abroad should have with their family. According to multiple news outlets, the attack has been claimed by ISIS. Glenville Road in Greenwich has reopened after a fire on the roof of an industrial building earlier this morning. According to tweets from the Greenwich Fire Department, the fire involved a heating and ventilation unit. The fire occurred at 273 Glenville Road, which, luckily for the building that caught fire, is right across the street from the Glenville Fire Department. We'll have more information on this story as it becomes available. And a Connecticut woman reported missing on St. Patrick's Day has died in an accident on a New Jersey highway. State police say a car driven by 63-year-old Laura Russo of Plainfield, Connecticut, was in the left lane on Interstate I-80 West when her vehicle was rear-ended by a tractor-trailer around 2:30 a.m. Wednesday. She was pronounced dead at the scene in Saddlebrook. A silver alert that was issued after Russo disappeared on St. Patrick's Day was canceled. Her whereabouts since her disappearance are not known. No charges have been filed, and the crash remains under investigation. The body of a kayaker missing since February 19th was found in Groton on Tuesday, according to state police. The Montville Police Department began a missing person investigation on February 19th after a Montville family reported a family member had not returned home from fishing. The missing fisherman was identified as 31-year-old Lyle Dagenais. Multiple agencies, including the U.S. Coast Guard and Connecticut State Police, searched extensively for Dagenais. On March 21st, around 11:30 a.m., Lyle Dagenais' body was located in the Thames River by the U.S. Navy Police near the submarine base in Groton. The Office of the Chief State Medical Examiner will conduct a post-mortem examination to determine cause and manner of death. And in other news, a Bridgeport man has been arrested in connection with a fatal accident in June. 63-year-old David Henshaw has been charged with second-degree manslaughter and misconduct with a motor vehicle. Bridgeport police said Henshaw was traveling south on Main Street around 5 in the morning on June 19th when he was struck a vehicle being driven by Peter Solo at Main Street and Fairview Avenue. Solo was killed in the accident. Police had a warrant out for Henshaw's arrest, and Henshaw turned himself in on Tuesday morning. We're also following Monroe police saying a man stole nearly $40,000 worth of tools from an employer. Police arrested 37-year-old Michael Conway of Bridgeport on March 17th by warrant. Police said they received a larceny complaint from a local business owner concerning the theft of tools, which were valued over $40,000 in December of 2016. The investigation revealed that the items were stolen incrementally over time by an employee who was later determined to be Conway. Conway was charged by warrant with larceny in the first degree, and he was held on $20,000 bond. A Milford psychiatrist who illegally prescribed drugs to patients and improperly billed health insurers has been sentenced to prison, according to the Connecticut U.S. Attorney. The psychiatrist Ludmil Klusev will serve 26 months of imprisonment, followed by 3 years of supervised release, and was ordered by the U.S. District Judge Alan W. Thompson to pay a $17,500 fine. In addition, Klusev agreed to forfeit a property located at 227 Naugatuck Avenue in Milford, where his practice was based, more than $173,000 in cash that was seized from his office on the day of his arrest, and more than $117,000 from his business checking account as part of the resolution to the case. Judge Thompson also ordered Klusev to pay restitution exceeding $31,000 to 2 victim health insurers. Court documents and statements made in court show that Klusev, who operated a psychiatric practice in Milford, was a high-volume prescriber of Adderall and Xanax to patients, many of whom paid for office visits and prescriptions in cash. The investigation, which included the use of confidential witnesses and an undercover officer posing as patients, revealed that Klusev prescribed the drugs without a full medical examination of the patient, provided prescriptions without confirming conditions that would medically require treatment using these drugs, and dispensed prescriptions in exchange for cash to patients who displayed behaviors indicative of substance abuse and addiction. Klusev also directed non-physician employees to write prescriptions signed by him when he was out of the country. In 2014 and 2015, Klusev improperly billed private health insurers nearly $77,000 for medical services rendered when he was out of the country. He has been detained since his arrest on November 12, 2015. On November 30, 2016, he pled guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute narcotics and 1 count of health care and fraud. Let's change things up now. Take a look outside, and we're going to throw it over to Donald Eng for the weather.
Well, thanks, Frank. And it's not a bad day outside. A little bit chilly, but lots of sunshine around Fairfield County. It's not going to be as cold or windy as it was yesterday. We're expecting a high of about 42 degrees. Some winds about 10 to 15 or so miles an hour. Conditions will start to warm up in the late afternoon, and it's going to start clouding over overnight with a low of 31 degrees, and we're going to get ready for a wet weekend on the way. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, warmer, but with temperatures reaching into the high 40s, but there will be some passing showers in the afternoon and evening before an overcast night with mild conditions. Temperatures will stay in the mid to high 40s, and there is a chance for another shower before Sunday morning. Then the warmest day of the week will be Saturday. Mild conditions, more showers in the afternoon, and officially spring rain expected to continue throughout Sunday and into the start of next week. So, wish I had more sun for you, but at least it's warming up.
It is starting to warm up. We got one more cold day in front of us, so thank you very much, Don. Well, we're going to take a break here on your coffee break. When we get back, we'll have some more of the top stories for you. Don's got a look back on this day in history, and we've also got a Nutmeg Sports update as well. All coming up next on your coffee break, right here on the HAN Network.
When it comes to considering the outside of your home, just imagine the possibilities. Whether your dream is a stunning free-form pool or a tranquil, secluded garden, the team of professionals at Stonebridge Associates will make it a reality. We offer unparalleled landscape design and construction, masonry development, pools, spas, and water features, as well as landscape and garden maintenance. No other firm can offer the same level of creativity, quality, and personal attention. Discover the possibilities at stonebridgeassociates.net or call 203-544-8376 today.
At the Milford Bank, we offer an extensive selection of lending products and services to meet virtually any need. Submit your application online in our Mortgage Web Center. Start to finish, you can apply for a loan in as little as 10 minutes. Our knowledgeable and helpful staff are available to meet with you at your convenience. To learn more about what we can do for you, stop by one of our Milford Bank offices or visit us at milfordbank.com. The Milford Bank, always there. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
UK Gourmet is the largest specialty grocer in the area, featuring food from England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Over 80 teas to choose from and a brilliant assortment of biscuits to go with them. Over 70 cheeses from grass-fed cows, which makes a smashing difference in taste. The creamiest chocolate you'll ever taste using no artificial colors or preservatives. So say hooray for UK Gourmet, 78 Stony Hill Road in Bethel, or visit ukgourmet.us.
We told Dad he could have his office back if he sold 150 cars last month.
Deal's a deal.
Well, Dad, you did it. You get your office back.
Forget it. I'm having too much fun down here. My new goal, 160 cars.
Wow.
Folks, if you ever wanted a great price on a new Nissan, now is the time.
Right now, lease a 2017 Altima 2.5S for only $99 a month.
Isn't it time you got Millerized?
Welcome back to your coffee break on the HAN Network. It is Thursday, March 23rd, and for more on this day, let's take a look back in history with our own Donald Eng. Don.
Well, an obscure statesman attains immortality on this day. First, though, we go to 1839, where the term okay is first published in the Boston Morning Post. Now, it was meant as an abbreviation for all correct, a popular slang misspelling of all correct at the time. Okay is perhaps the most ubiquitous term in the English language today. And you thought that misspelling the word cool, K-E-W, was a new thing. It's not. We've been doing it for centuries. 1857, Elisha Otis installs his first elevator at 488 Broadway in New York City. It would revolutionize urban living. Until then, buildings were rarely more than 5 or 6 stories, and the wealthiest people tended to live on the lower floors. Today, the Otis Elevator Company remains the largest manufacturer of what they call vertical transport systems in the world. Believe it or not, Spain is the elevatorist country in the world. 900,000 installed in that country. Speaking of installations, 1983, 61-year-old dentist Barney Clark passes away. He was the first patient ever to have an artificial heart intended to be permanent implanted. Clark lived 112 days after his surgery, though he never left the hospital. Over the next decade, more than 150 patients would receive steadily more sophisticated models, and more than half of them would survive long enough to receive a human heart transplant. Finally, now we go to 1775 Virginia. Listen to this.
It's inevitable, and let it come. I repeat, sir, let it come. Gentlemen may cry peace, peace, but there is no peace. The war has actually begun. The next gale that sweeps from the north will bring to our ears the clash of resounding arms. Our brethren are already in the field. Is life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God! I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty, and give me death.
That, of course, was Norman Reedus delivering the Patrick Henry speech, Give Me Liberty, Give Me Death. The speech was delivered to the Second Virginia Convention, credited with swaying the convention, which included George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, into joining the Revolutionary War. Now, the version of the speech we have today was not published until more than 40 years after the fact, but while there is doubt as to the exact authorship and wording of the speech, there is no doubt to its effect. That is your look back in history for today, March 23rd, and I'm Donald Ling. Okay?
Okay, Don. Well, of course, not a lot going on in sports, Don, with the transition of seasons right now. We do have the FCIAC All-Star basketball game going on tonight at Staples High. Juniors will play at 6, the seniors at 7:30. But this afternoon on Nutmeg Sports, we've got a spring sports preview show. Anything in particular you're looking forward to in the spring season?
Well, a couple of things I'm curious about. First of all, can FCIAC teams advance a little bit farther in the tournament in the stick and ball sports? Now, we know the FCIAC has dominated lacrosse and and tennis and some of the other sports, but the baseball and softball teams have had a few years now where they really haven't been in contention for state championships. Fairfield Ward reaching the finals last year, but running into an all-time great Amity team. So that's the biggest thing I'm thinking about. What do you have in mind?
Well, one for me, obviously, that stands out is, can New Canaan finally beat Darien when it matters in lacrosse? They've struggled the past few years, and they've gone on and won state championships in the Class M bracket, but I don't think that's as gratifying.
Not as emotionally
not as
satisfying.
gratifying as being the rival. But, Darien obviously so successful last school year, 2015-2016, all season long. The spring season was where they did the most damage, I thought, winning baseball, boys tennis, both lacrosses. How do they come back and respond to that performance?
It's never easy. As hard as it is to really get to a position of dominance, it's harder to stay there. So that's going to be certainly one of the stories as the spring unfolds. Well,
thank you, Don. You'll be here at 2 o'clock. Kevin Coleman will join us as well. Hang around, Don. I think you're going to take a look at those front pages with John Kovac in a minute. But before that, we get back to some news, and a former Stratford Town Council member is looking to run for mayor this fall. Sandra Zilick, a former Republican council member, said Wednesday that she has filed papers at the town's clerk's office to form an exploratory committee to run for the town's top job. Zilick served on the town council from 1997 to 2001, when Stratford had a town manager form of government. In addition to her service on the council, Zilick was a founder and first chairman of the town's beautification committee. She also served as chairman of the pension board. Incumbent Republican Mayor John Harkins has announced he will not run for another term. In other news, a country club with an outdoor ice rink, tennis court, and multi-purpose turf field for about 250 members and 90 parking spaces has been proposed in Ridgefield. The Ridgefield Planning and Zoning Commission held a pre-submission concept meeting Tuesday night about 6 acres of land located at 340 Peaceable Street, the former Pinchbeck property, most recently known as the Peaceable Farm, before it closed in 2013. Although the prospective buyer has not submitted a formal application yet, about 30 residents wearing pins that read "Say No to Skate Club" attended the presentation on Tuesday, but were not able to give public comment. The commission said it was not inclined to support the plan in this early stage, and for more on this story, you can read it at theridgefieldpress.com. And finally, an alternating one-way traffic is expected on Route 35 in Ridgefield at the Bridge Project by Fox Hill Condominiums today and Friday during the non-commuter hours. The practice at the job site is to not begin alternating one-way traffic until after 9 a.m. and to halt it by 3 p.m. to avoid tying up rush hour traffic on the state highway. We're going to take one more break here on your coffee break, but when we come back, editorial John Kovac will join Don, and they will take a look at this week's HAN newspapers front pages. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned.
On time, done right, safe and reliable. MrHandymanCT.com.
Let our satisfied customers tell it.
I have called Mr. Handyman for every reason, every occasion, every broken item, every leak. They have bailed me out on many occasions, and I would recommend them to anyone.
For any project, large or small.
MrHandymanCT.com.
Want a new experience in car buying? Skep Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram with one of the largest inventories of new 2- and 4-door Wranglers. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Browse our websites, skepchryslerjeep.com or skepdodge.net to find the new Jeep, Chrysler Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck you've been looking for. Just 2 miles from both I-95 or the Merritt Parkway exit 44. Save thousands right now during the spring clearance event and Ram Truck Month, now through March 31st.
Have a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Basketball, hockey, skiing, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
While there's still a bite out on the water, most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With 2 convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
Wild Birds Unlimited.
At Wild Birds Unlimited of Brookfield, get expert advice from our certified bird feeding specialists. We offer always fresh, clean seed that will be sure to attract birds to your home feeder. Experience our excellent customer service. Open 7 days a week. Visit us at 317 Federal Road, Brookfield.
Wild Birds Unlimited. We bring people and nature together.
It's the InSports Athletic Functional Movement Assessment Program.
A program that uses a camera, the same camera that you use with an Xbox video game.
What it involves is 3 phases. One is the initial test, which will give you a very objective and lengthy assessment of how you are moving and where there may be imbalances.
Once test gets the results from the assessment, we'll develop a customized program for the individual.
The objective really to try to get as many young athletes through this program as possible.
Back on the HAA Network with your coffee break, and we send it over now to Editorial Director John Kovach and Donald Eng for a look at the HAA newspaper front pages this week. John.
Thanks, Frank. My turn to welcome somebody. Don, this is your first time doing the front pages. Welcome.
Yeah, well, it's been a while. Yeah, no kidding. It really has. The time flies, doesn't it?
Well, you edit our Trumbull Times. Let's start in Trumbull.
Well, we start here. First of all, the Trumbull girls basketball team, tough loss in the state finals. A historically great season for the Lady Eagles, coming up just 1 win short in the championship game, but a great game and a great effort for the girls. Then we have kind of this strange story. Now, no one got hurt, so it's sort of amusing, but it's still a serious problem. Security guard essentially mugged while on duty and in uniform. You don't really see that too often. And finally, the academic decathlon, the Trumbull High School academic team winning a state championship this year. And academic decathlon is kind of interesting because it's kind of stratified. You have kids in there with 3.7 GPAs, kids with 3.5s, kids below 3, and they're all represented and they all compete as part of the team. So
that's a very cool idea.
That's your look at Trumbull.
Thanks, Don. I'm looking at Wilton, where there were a lot of comments made at the budget hearing. Those have been even more contentious than usual with the state cuts. Wilton among the communities with a St. Baldrick's fundraiser for childhood cancer. A lot of people with shaved heads wandering about. A look at an author's visit to the Wilton Library and a look at the Wilton Historical Society, all in the Wilton Bulletin.
I have the Shelton Herald here, and we have the two top stories are both about education, but we're going to start with that priceless photo on the front page there. That's Sunnyside School Principal Amy Yost, duct taped to a wall after her students raised more than $8,000 with acts of kindness.
You can do anything with duct tape.
Isn't that it binds the world together. We also have some efforts to improve education in Shelton there, also on the front page. And finally, a story about hate speech not being tolerated in Shelton. Aaron Berkowitz there talking about the negativity that is not being tolerated in Shelton.
Don, in Trumbull, the girls had a tough loss in basketball. In New Canaan, it was the boys hockey team suffering a tough loss in the CIAC semifinals. Great shot by our Dave Stewart on the front page of the New Canaan Advertiser of Leah Mooney making a save there. The pop-up park in downtown New Canaan, that is going to return permanently this summer for placement from July 14th through September 4th. A look at the housing market, a look at how New Canaan will pay for capital projects, and literally a sign of spring. Don?
All right, in the Reading pilot this week, we have the board allowing budget input on March 27th. You know, budget season always in full swing in Connecticut this time of year. We also have a local photographer chosen for the prestigious photo book exhibit publishing at the Griffin Museum of Photography in Winchester, Massachusetts, and also Mark Twain making his return to Reading. Return in quotes there, but one of the all-time great American writers with a very long history in Connecticut, being celebrated there in Reading.
Milford had reason to celebrate as the St. Patrick's Day parade, postponed by weather, was held, and they got their CBS back as WFSB was returned to cable television lineups. There'll be a race in honor of Newtown victim James Mattioli, a look at the grand list as Milford deals with budgets, and a warning from the State Housing Commissioner about potential loss of federal funds that due to coastal erosion as the state still deals with the economic effects of Storm Sandy.
In the Weston Forum, we have more budget stories there. The state budget cuts that are being proposed by Governor Daniel Malloy will have a significant impact on Weston, particularly when it comes to schools and school pension obligations. And also a local author there, you see him there, Stephen Grosinger of Weston, with a new book challenging the fundamental principle of free will. His new book, Faith on a Stone Foundation, Free Will, Morality, and the God of Abraham. So very interesting main feature story there in Weston.
An author also on the cover of the Monroe Courier as Liz Moore gives people a little sense of what goes into her creative process. Monroe getting ready for its budget vote, that on April 4th. Also getting ready for the annual Plunge in the Park to raise money for Special Olympics on April 1st. And Monroe among the towns joining in a lawsuit against the Board of Education to try to save $93,000 a year. Plus a story on a horse that was rescued that needs some help and a second chance.
In Darien, we have, again, more budget stories. The finance budget hearing brings out a lot of feedback from the community. The residents letting the finance board know exactly where they stand on some of these topics. Also, Darien High School's annual spring musical, Legally Blonde, opens tonight. We have some great photography there from the play. And in addition, the 2017 Darien Times special edition titled Darien publishes this week some interesting facts and figures about the community and some great photography also in this year's Darien annual special section.
Ice making the news in Ridgefield in two different ways. First, you have the Ridgefield Tigers, who Monday night won their first ever, they'd like it to become an annual, their first ever state boys ice hockey title. Meanwhile, Tuesday night, there was a discussion at the Planning and Zoning Commission for what's being called a state club, a proposed outdoor rink turf field at the Peaceable Farm site. Zoners are also weighing affordable housing, which happens quite often in Fairfield County. Work to begin on the Route 7 bridge in June, as it is delayed again. And The Love of Parrots, a feature by Mac Reed on Nicole Devlin.
And from me, I have Stratford news here in my hands. The big news, Mayor John Harkins will not seek a fifth term as mayor of Stratford. Apparently, as Melvin Mason wrote in his lead, 8 is enough for Mayor Harkins. But he also, in his State of the Town address, cited Stratford's economic development and cooperation, and in his point that Stratford is on the rise. You know, a lot of towns in the state have struggled financially. We've been reporting on that. Stratford looking to be in pretty good shape. And also, we have another St. Patrick's Day story, celebrating St. Patrick's Day in Stratford with a Irish soda bread concert. Our own Melvin Mason, a participant in that.
So that was a
very
lucky guy.
Yeah, very, very, very lucky guy.
In Easton, some young inventors are getting their time in the spotlight. As we take a look at a Young Inventors show, the Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen, Board of Police Commissioners are considering the police chief's authority over contracts. Meanwhile, the Finance Board is looking at the budgets for the police and library. The school board is looking at how it's going to cut costs. And if that's not enough, There's going to be a circus coming to Joel Parley.
I'm looking at those photos. That looks great.
That does.
And finally, I have the arts and leisure section here. We have a new professional theater proposed to go up in Ridgefield next spring, ACT, a contemporary theater of Connecticut. Also, we have the conscious cook, Robin Gloa, with a recipe for some spring soups that are sure to be family pleasers. And if you're looking at some of the inside pages, we've got a comedy show in Danbury, Sharks, at the Norwalk Maritime Aquarium, and some great student photography on tap in Fairfield. So lots of interesting things in the region as far as arts and leisure.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, John. Great look at the papers. That's going to do it for this coffee break, but we got plenty more coming up on the HAN Network this afternoon. John, we'll have the Yankee Fisherman at 1 o'clock. What can we expect today?
More Sharks, actually. We are going to do a special crossover because I went up Saturday and visited Jesse Roach on his show on WICH, Fishing Today. We'll talk about his show. And we're going to take a look back at our visit out to the research vessel OSearch from last summer, because Chris Fisher, the founder and director of OSearch, will be speaking about their shark research at the Bruce Museum in Greenwich on Saturday. And then you guys will be back on after me with Nutmeg Sports.
That's right, at 2 o'clock. It'll be our spring season preview. Maybe we'll be lucky and the Yankee Fisherman stops on. And of course, you can be back here tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. Kate will be here as well for your coffee break, only on the HAN Network.